Hello YouTube family, James Green, short series Shenanigans. So today's episode is going to revolve around doing some stuff that I do on a budget rebuild for a Ford 390 FE motor. Now, still waiting on some parts for the valve body for the surface grinder, so we're at a hold on that. We did get some stuff in. I'm just waiting on a couple of seals. Valve body's actually underneath some white rags here covered up. But I'm going to show you guys, because I talked about last episode, or episode before last, I traded for a 69 Ford 3/4 ton 2-wheel drive and going to be building a motor for it. And I'm just going to show you some things that I've done with my engine building in the past, doing it on a rebuild, and some I'm sure there's lots of videos out there. This isn't going to be a performance motor. This is just going to be a daily driver. Yeah, there's some things I'm going to be doing that some people say, we'll just go buy another one and be done with it. Well, if you want to be able to get the most bang for your buck like me, this is just going to be a daily driver. I'm not going to be hot rodding or anything. It's going to have an RV cam and 4-barrel carb. Literally, that's it as far as performance. You know, it's just an old pickup. Anyway, so I'm going to show you some stuff that I learned and was taught years ago when I was growing up. Some things to pay attention to about building motors. Now, I don't claim to be some end-all be-all expert on engine building. I've done a lot of it. There's a lot of different ways to do things depending on what you want to achieve. So, with that in mind, I'm going to show you some neat things. Let's say you want to do it like what I do, as far as it's a project to do. You've got an old pickup or an old car and you just want to get it to where it is, we're just doing a basic rebuild. Now on this motor, the bore is stock. The cylinder is great in the block. We don't have to bore it out. We're actually going to reuse, so far I've got 4 pistons left to do inspections on, and so far everything's fine. There's a little pitting in the top of some of them, but other than that, there's fine. This motor was a 1968 FE motor. It's a 360. I'm going to actually, this is actually going to end up, when I get done, going to be a 390. I've got a couple other motors I got to take apart, but I want to show you some neat little tricks as far as in regards to cleaning the rod, cleaning the pistons, piston grooves. I'm going to show you some of these pistons. Now, when I got them, the buddy of mine took it apart. He just kind of ran a conditioning disc and knocked a lot of the carbon off. You're going to see how really, really bad it still is. They've soaked in my solvent tank, and I'm going to go through and we're going to scrape them off. Everyone's just go buy new pistons. Well, even stock pistons for 8 of them, and they come with the rods on these, because they have on the FEs, they have little clips, and they're easy to, this is why I like building FE motors. And I got new clips, these little clips that hold the pistons in and the rods. So I've already got new clips. I'm replacing them all because they're all original. I don't know the condition of this engine as far as how it was treated. I do know when I got the heads, pulled it apart, had the original, you know, valve seals in it. Said in the square logo, it said FOMO, Ford Motor Company. So that's 1960s stuff. Let me go ahead and show you some stuff. I've already got some started. I'm taking them apart and I'm marking, you know, the pistons are already marked 1 through 8. And I'm actually marking the pistons and everything on the side. Like this is number 4. If you look on the side, if you've ever built a motor, you know on the side they're marked. They're stamped 1, 1, 2, 2, all the way through whatever, however many cylinders. An easy thing to tell is on the locking tabs, if you ever get it apart, the locking tabs go on the same side. That's real simple. There's no big science to it. Just make sure you mark the same side and rod and piston, and then I write number 4, you know, on both sides. It's a lumber crayon. This is all going to come off. It ain't going to hurt. So what I like to do first is I took a conditioning disc, okay, and I just touch the ends so they're flat. I'm going to show you a little trick why we do this. Now, I already know from, I don't think it's this one or the other one, but we're going to go through, do this one, we'll do the other one. I am going to get connecting rod bolts, because I don't remember if it was this one or the other or one before this. When I went to torque, and I torque it empty to check a couple things. Number one, are the connecting rod bolts stretching. Yes, I already had one stretch. I plan on buying a brand new set just because this is 1968-69 motor. It's almost 50 years old. They're wore out. You can get a whole new set from Summit Racing for like 70 bucks. That's cheap for a motor. So I am going to show you a trick though. Let's say this isn't something common and you want to see, is there an issue? I'm going to show you some little tricks, and there's going to be a lot of talking. So you guys, there's no machining in this video today. I know I've had people complain in the past. Hey, I'm giving you information on my channel, showing you stuff. It's not always going to be machining, but if you want to take over building an engine, these are some tips and tricks that I learned when I was a kid, and I want to pass it on. So, no machining. We're going to be doing some cleaning up on some stuff, and I'll show you how I do that, but here we go. So, we've got them marked. We'll go ahead and put it over here in the vise, set it up. Okay. Let me get my camera set where you guys, I'm going to drop you down here a little bit, so bear with the wiggleness. Okay. Alright, so we've got our torque wrench set up. Now the torque specs on these are 45 foot-pounds. Snap-on torque wrench, 9/16 socket. Here's the thing, anytime you start adding a long socket or an extension, your torque value changes. You need to look that up because there's a formula for every inch of extension. Your torque value actually changes. So ideally you want to use either a regular socket or a deep well. You don't want to add all these extensions into hard to reach places, then your torque values start changing. So that's a whole nother episode. So we've basically got some flats on the ends, so we'll do another one just to show you. So what I like to do is, again, we just get it to where it's just a little bit of a flat spot so we can register on the top of the bolt. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're just going to measure the bolt first. Okay, we'll look at it from the marked side. So we'll call this one the top, and we'll call this one the bottom. Yes, these are left-hand calipers. Everyone always asks, they're like, what's going on? You hear people in the background. Let me get... Alright, we're going to measure this one first before we torque it. And we're going to see how much this changes. 2.435. And let me put this in here. I got the shakes. Too much coffee. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. And this one, okay, yeah, this is the one that's stretched. So this one's 2422. So this is the one, this is the other side that, okay, because I already loosened it. So we're going to go ahead and put it in here, making sure we're not going to mess with the piston or anything. Slap it in here, and I clamp below it. We're not hurting anything. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's go ahead and run these up, and we'll do another one. I think this is the one that I discovered I had. I'm going to go ahead and replace them. Alright, so I run them down finger tight, and we're just going to, we already got it set 45 foot-pounds, because when I went to go tighten it, it kept pulling more and more and more, and that raw, I think that was the one. Okay, and it didn't click yet. We'll pull them up evenly. Okay, that clicked. Click, and we'll go back this way just to make sure. Okay, yeah, I think this is the one I discovered it on. So let's measure this side real quick. This is, yeah, this was the one I discovered it on. Hold it up here out of the way. There we go. So the one on the left that was, okay, the one on the top, which is 2.443, And the one on the bottom now, .427. Okay, so this one was already stretched out. Okay, and plus what I also do, and you can check them to make sure. So we'll throw it in here, and I haven't checked this one yet. We'll go ahead and do it on camera. I'm gonna move you guys over here so you can see what I've got going on from the back. All right, so you can see over my shoulder. So what I'm gonna do now, I've got it in here, and all that's free, is I'm gonna come over here with the snap gauge. Now, I've got in the background, you can see over here, I've got my, there we go. I've got my mic stand set up with my mic, and I'm checking these to see if, which I know they're stretched a little bit, but I'm gonna check them all. So what I'll do is I'll start off first. Let's try that again. I want to go this way. And I'll hold right in between the two notches on that side, and I'll hold right in the middle. That way we're right over the center. Okay, we pushed through. Let's come back here and measure real quick. And we are this is where a mic stand comes in handy. 2.5901, 59015, which is way more than what we need. So 2.5901. I'll just pull it out right there. I won't even move it. And now, so we've checked side to side, and now we're going to check top to bottom. Okay. Get right in the middle here. And we're going to lock, and we're going to all right, so now we check side to side. Side to side is 2.5901, and this one is definitely different. It's a little longer. Not much. 2.59185. So you can tell it's just a little oblong, but it's perfectly within tolerance. Now, if it was like 5 or 10 thousandths out, then yeah, that would be, it would be stretched, and these would have to be, honed in or maybe even replaced. But that's definitely within tolerance. So that was something else I was doing, that I checked those. Okay, they're good, they're torqued. So I know that one's good, it's marked. And I'll show you how I do the other one. I'm going to set this one here because I still got to go through it. Okay, here's the next one up. Okay, now all I've done is a basic wash and a basic scrub. Alright, so I've already went through, this was in the solvent tank, and these are just finger tight. Now, I haven't buzzed these off yet with a, get a flat spot on there, and I'm just going to create a flat spot and we'll measure them. Let's do that real quick. All I'm doing is taking a flat disc and sending it across the floor. Alright, let's try that again. There we go. Basically, I'm getting rid of the little ridges that's on the edges of the bolts, when they make them. So it's a relatively flat spot. Now, these are not torqued down yet, okay? Totally loose, but they are clean. So let's go ahead. Now, before we torque, let's mark this, because this hasn't been marked yet. So we got our white lumber crayon, and this is rod number 8. And there's 8 marks on the bottom. So we'll just pick a side, mark it, so we know that'll go back together with. Okay, and we'll put 8 on here. It's not going to hurt a thing for what we're doing. Okay, so first off, we'll call this the top and this the bottom. We'll do a quick measurement just like we did before we torque our bolts. Okay, so let me get out the notepad and let's write this down so we can see. Alright, got my old notepads out. Okay, so we're going to go top and then bottom. And so we'll have before torque and after. Okay, so we'll set this over here. Make sure we're zeroed out. Alright, we're going to check the top one, and we're just checking the bolt length before we start. And I'm holding right in the middle and right in the middle back here. 2.3975. 2.3975. We'll check this one. Now, we already know we're going to replace these, but let's say you're working on a motor that you can't get this stuff and you want to know if your bolts are going to be okay. Now, these were loosened, and they weren't after the motor was taken apart, but are they going to stretch? Are they going to hold? So 2.4 dead nuts, that's what that measurement is. 2.4000. Okay, that's fine. So this, you might have an odd engine to where it's like, okay, well, I don't know. Plus you can kind of see when we torque these how it's going to affect everything. Okay, get these in over here, and we're not touching on the piston. I'm always making sure I don't catch the skirts. Okay, and we're good. And we're just going to pull these up slow. Yeah, that other one that I was pulling on, I think that one I just showed you, because I kept going and going and going, and it just kept pulling and pulling and pulling. And that's one way you can check your studs to make sure that they're weak. That told me right there when I checked that other one, it was weak because it pulled and grew. I want to say it grew like 20 thousandths. So that right there, it just, you can buy an individual set, but it's like while you're at it, put them all in. So we've got this in, they're torqued. Let's measure our top one. And we could use a mic, but this is just for general purpose. This will be close enough. So the top one is 2.409. And then the bottom one, okay, that's just kind of how we do it to keep it apart. .4065. So there's your torque value difference and how much the bolt grew when we torqued it. It was 2.3975 and it grew to 2.4090. 2.40000 just happened to, because we made the flats, and it grew to 2.4065. So there you go. It grew 6.5 thousandths. That one grew quite a bit. So let's just check. That's why I keep a calculator handy. I'm tired, long days. Let's check it. 2.4090 minus 11 and a half. This one grew 11 and a half thousandths. That one grew 6 and a half thousandths right there. So yes, they're growing, they're going to, but that just shows you, okay, a little example of, you know, let's say you don't have a common motor and you are really struggling for, there we go. You want to see how much a bolt grows. Now, I know that was the one that down there, I want to say that one grew a lot because I kept pulling, going and going and going, and I could see that they were already seated up there. It got, you know, I was like, oh, wait a minute, they're growing on me. Right there, I knew I was going to replace all the studs. If you don't have a common one and you want to see, so these have been in there since, you know, the motor was new. So that just kind of shows you the torque value. Something else I want to show you guys on these. Let me grab. Where did I put it up? It should be right. I've been doing lots of work on this stuff today. Here it is. So, in the sides of these, on these Ford FEs, and other Pistons as well too, you have your, down here in your oil groove, you have your primary compression, your second compression, and you have your oil ring groove. Okay, on one side of them, you're going to notice a little hole in there. That hole does not go all the way through. It's probably not showing up on camera, but this is a number, depending on what it is. I've got a number 24, so these aren't too deep. So you can see how clean this is. I'm literally going in by hand. These are some of the little things you can do, and it's that. You want to do it by hand because you don't want to drill all the way through. It's a sludge pocket. So for those of you who don't know, they have sludge pockets like in certain Pistons, and then also in cranks, on different cranks and different motors, and you'll have either a ball bearing that's in there that you've got to machine and drill out, or you'll have a cap, same thing in the oil galleys. And I'm gonna hand polish that crank on this lathe. So I'm going in here, and it's going to take a couple of, and you just press down, and you can see as I pull it out all of the junk that is on, and it's falling out. You can see there. And you're just going in and you're just cleaning. This one actually wasn't too bad. And now your little sludge, now you might see a little shiny thing in there. Maybe if the light will hit it just right. Probably not, but there's your sludge pocket, and you can see how deep it is. It's not, you know, so it's only on one side of these. Different Pistons have them, not all do, some don't. So the other thing we're going to do next is I'm going to show you guys about grabbing and taking these out. So if you have never taken an FE piston apart, we'll do this one down here. Okay. Let me get it down here in my lap and I'll show you guys. I always like to wrestle things around in the lap. These are always fun to do. If I can get it to cooperate. There we go. So, because these have the full floating pistons, and I've had one of these rings come apart before and cost me a motor because I rebuilt the motor and I'm like, yeah, they're fine, they're good. I put, you know, I didn't take them out. I just left them. Put the motor back. About 5,000 miles later, I'm like making a funny noise and it was weird, and I could tell it had oil and water mixing. I'm like, oh man. Pulled the motor out, took it apart. This had worn through, and you can see the wear edges on them. They're not expensive. These are, you know, I actually found new old stock ones, which you can still get them from Ford for like 15 bucks for 16 of them. So that cost me a block. It was a real nice 410 mercury block that was bored like, I want to say 60 or 90 over, I don't remember. Anyway, it's one of them things, you replace it. It's kind of like changing oil and filter. Even if you're going to put these back and an FE motor, change those out. So these other little things, you know, this motor's pretty old. Don't know how many miles is on it. I do know, now see, that one came out real easy. And you can see the wear pattern on it that I was talking about. Alright. Get them, put it up here, go back over to the vise. Alright, now I have a piece of brass that make sure I'm not hitting anything. Hammer. Brass drift is right here. I've got that valve body covered up so I don't get junk in it. Just a piece of brass up in here. They are full floating, but you have like oil residue that keeps them from sliding easy. They just slide right out. Goes. Slides right out. So, not a showstopper, nothing damaged. These pins are hardened. We'll actually mark it when we go to, and that's why we marked the sides, and you know, we'll inspect the pistons fully. We'll, you know, look for any other defects that might be in there, you know, stuff like that. And we are going to go through and clean all the carbon off of them. And then of course, you know, we'll inspect in here, make sure that everything's still good. I could tell that there wasn't any big major movement, but we'll, you know, we're going to put new connecting rod studs in. So, one other thing I wanted to show you guys real quick. I will move the camera over here, kind of give you guys a quick view of, you can see the remainder of, especially this one here. This one had, I mean, this motor was burning oil bad, and you can see all of that. Okay, I'm going to go in there, finish cleaning it up. Lead deposits, stuff like that. So when you go to do this, even though these were soaking in here, when I go to sand with my little conditioning discs and stuff, that's where I'm going to wear my respirator. And I've got to go in here. I've got a piston groove cleaner. We're going in, cleaning all the grooves on the pistons. There's lots of videos out there on how to do that. This is pretty old and worn, but it's still doing the job. And then also we're having to go in with a little pick as well too, to make sure, just things, simple things that you're doing your own budget rebuild. Again, nothing fancy, lots of stuff out there. When I get into the heads, I'll show you all that. So I just wanted to take time to show you guys today neat little tricks, some little things, and I'm going to do more videos on this to show you. So if you do want to build your own engine, again, there's a lot of different ways to do things. These are little tricks I was showed. All this stuff is going to be, you can apply a lot of this same stuff to any of the other motors, whether it's a lawnmower, weed eater, you know, small tractor, whatever, diesel, same thing. There's a lot to learn out there. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'm going to keep plugging away doing all these. Hopefully this information has been helpful to you guys. Comments at the bottom. Summer Bash is coming up. We'd like to thank American Rotary. They're going to be there. All roads lead to Bar Z. Going to be a fun time. Plan on going out there. Rancho Cucamonga this June 2017. Promo codes down in the description box for All Industrial Tool Supply, our channel sponsor, as well as Empire Abrasives. I know I've got those. Those are some of my channel sponsors. I'll be plugging them, you guys and gals. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Always encouraged by comments. I love to have a discussion. My public email address, if you have any questions that you don't want in the comments, eagledustoff37@gmail.com. So, like I always say, and I mean it, guys and gals, take care of yourself and take care of your family, because remember, at the end of the day, you and your family is all you got. Till next time, get out in the shop and start building on a motor. This stuff is fun. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.